7th graders. Today's lesson has to do with circles and how to find the area of a circle. Alright, so first thing we need to talk about are the different parts of a circle. Alright, I have two horribly drawn circles right here. Unfortunately, I'm running out of paper at home, so I don't want to redraw them. So imagine these are perfect circles. The definition of a circle is a set of points equidistant from a center point. Not super important for today's lesson, but I thought I'd share that with you. Alright, so the first part of a circle we need to know is what's called the radius. Now the radius is the distance halfway across the circle. Alright, so it passes through the center point and it goes halfway across the circle. So in this first circle I have drawn here, this line here, I would call that the radius. And it's not really a line, it's a distance. Alright, so the distance halfway across the circle is called the radius. The distance all the way across the circle that passes through the center point is the diameter. Alright, so this distance from edge to edge that passes through the center, this is called the diameter. The diameter. Alright, so we have radius, which is halfway. We have diameter, which is all the way. Now, the relationship between the two is the radius is half of the diameter, and that's going to come in handy here soon. Or the diameter is twice the radius. Alright, so that'll come into play. Alright, I don't want to overload you just yet. Alright, now hopefully you watched the area video that I shared with you on slide number 3. Alright, so area is just the amount of two-dimensional space that it takes to cover a figure. Alright, so again, I've got this circle drawn over here. It's horrible, alright. Technically not a circle, but for here, let's pretend it's a perfect circle. It has a radius of 6 feet because it's half the distance across the circle. Now the area formula for a circle is area, which we'll use big A, equals pi times r squared. Alright, so A equals pi r squared. Alright, where big A is area. Pi is the ratio between a circle's circumference and a circle's diameter. Alright, it's an irrational number. Mrs. Gain did a great job teaching you guys about pi last year. You know it goes on forever, it never repeats. Alright, it's irrational. Now r squared, we haven't done a great deal of exponents this year. What r squared means is, it means you take the radius and you multiply it by itself 2 times. It's really r times r. Alright, now we collect those factors with an exponent of 2. Alright, so back to business. A equals pi r squared. So we write the formula down, we substitute what we know. We don't know what A is yet. We have pi times our radius squared. So pi times 6 squared. Alright, now we could do a lot of these exponents in our head. Alright, 6 times 6 is 36. But as you get to bigger numbers, you can use your calculator. Alright, and you could type in 6, and you could do times 6. Alright, that gets you 36. Or you could do 6 and then hit the little x2 button for an exponent of 2. That'll also get you 36. Alright, so you can do exponents on your calculators and on your phones. Alright, so we have pi times 6 squared, which we said is 36. Now I'm going to stop right here for a second. I am going to rearrange these two terms. They're not really terms, they're factors. Alright, I'm going to use the commutative property of multiplication, and I'm going to bring this 36 out front. Alright, and I'm going to call that 36 pi. Now, next year when you're in 8th grade, we are going to stop right here, and we're going to call the area of this circle 36 pi square feet. Alright, and in math we like to call that exact area. Alright, this is as close of an answer or as precise of an answer as we're going to get, due to the fact that pi is irrational and we really don't know its exact value. However, in 7th grade what we're going to do is we're going to use 3.14 for pi. So we're going to do 36 times 3.14 And what's that give us? That gives us 36 times 3.14. That gives us an area of 113 and 4/100ths. 113 and 4/100ths. Don't forget your units. And since it's area, it's always square units, so I put feet squared. Now notice I put the approximate symbol here. Alright, once I use 3.14 for pi, or even if I push the pi button on my calculator, alright, there's a pi button on your calculator you could always use. Once you do one of those two things, your answer is no longer exact, because nobody knows the exact value of pi. We're pretty darn close, but nobody knows its exact value. Alright, so that's how you find the area of a circle. One other side note that I would normally tell you guys if we were in a regular classroom, instead of using pi, alright, well, not instead of using pi, but different ways to use pi, you can always use your calculator button. So you could use the button on your calculator. You can use 3.14, alright, which is how you're going to do it in IXL. Or you could even use 22/7, a fraction. Alright, not so common, but I thought you might want to know. Alright, let's do one more example before I let you guys go. Alright, I have another circle here. Notice that it gives me the distance all the way across the circle. That is not a radius. That's a diameter. Alright, so if I write down my formula, A equals pi times r squared, nowhere in there does it have anything about a diameter. I need to calculate my radius from that diameter. Alright, now radius is halfway across the circle. So what I do is I take my diameter and I divide it by 2, and that gives me my radius. So my radius is 10 feet. Alright, so in IXL, if they give you a diameter, you have to first convert it to a radius by taking half of it. Alright, so now we have pi times our radius squared. Our radius is 10. So I have 10 squared. Alright, now if you had a calculator right now, you could stop right now, but let's imagine that we don't. Alright, so we have 10 squared, which is 100. So I have pi times 100. Alright, now I am going to use 3.14 times 100. Now, you guys have all been in my math class. Whenever you multiply by a factor of 10, alright, or a multiple of 10, you move the decimal point. If you multiply by 100, you move the decimal point right too. So our area for this particular circle is just 314 square feet. Alright, that worked out nicely where we didn't even have to use our calculator. Oh, and that's approximate. Alright, perfect. Alright guys, so this lesson gave you the formula for finding the area of a circle. You need a radius. We also talked about the different parts of a circle, the relationship between a radius and a diameter. Alright, as always, if you guys have any questions, feel free to send me a message.